I think that the definition of the concept of heaven is slowly starting to develop into something more subjective and less objective as society itself progresses more and more. Only a few hundred years ago did we see people fighting ruthless and bloody battles over disagreements between things like whether or not there is a god out there or what created the universe itself. These arguments very much still exist today, and no conclusive answer has ever been found, and one will not be found for a very, very long time. People today like to associate heaven with the domain that exists beyond the physical boundaries we call reality today, that holds much higher powers beyond our understanding, like God or angels, that will be opened up once the balance of our good and bad deeds has been ultimately judged. But others also like to interpret it as a sensation of bliss and happiness that is almost incomparable. I think that despite all of the animosity surrounding the religious drama and the philosophical issues consistently debated about, we are all capable of believing anything and whatever we want regarding that. And once society opens up and takes action towards this, is that not a heaven within itself? On July 22nd, the Aether mod was released to Minecraft. This mod was born out of the concept that Minecraft could have a dimension that serves as a direct contrast to the nether dimension. Rather than a dark, gloomy, stressful, and objectively disgusting looking dimension, we get a dimension that is reminiscent of what many people ideally think heaven would be like. A bright, colorful stress reliever that serves to— holy shit! Okay, maybe this dimension isn't as friendly as it looks. But where this mod seriously shines is its abundance of rich content that clearly even impressed Mojang. So much so that they ended up hiring one of the creators of the mod to work as a gameplay developer. The mod has many things to offer beyond the simple new biomes and blocks. It has new mobs, new dungeons with bosses, and pigs that can fly! I think I'm gonna enjoy this mod. When you enter the Aether for the first time, you are handed two items: the Book of Lore and a golden parachute. The Book of Lore serves as the guide to everything Aether, and once you put a certain item in the book, it will give you a brief description on it. And the golden parachute, as the name implies, serves as, well, a parachute so that you can get off of the cloud your portal is probably standing on. Once you have landed on the ground, your heaven-conquering journey can now finally begin. Walking through the Aether, you're going to encounter a variety of mobs. Most are pretty much modified versions of already existing ones, but there are absolutely new ones as well. Such as the Moa, which can come in friendly, rideable variants, but be careful of the green harmful cockroaches that is very dangerous and shoots darts that give you one of the most annoying status effects that mess up your movement. There's also the Zephyrs that are essentially the gas mob of the Aether, but instead of blowing you up, you could potentially get knocked off of the island and back into the overworld. But those are only the casual mobs that you will encounter. It's time to get to the nitty-gritty. The bosses. There are 3 dungeons that the Aether mod adds to your Minecraft: the Bronze, Silver, and Gold dungeons respectively. All of these dungeons have one boss that you have to kill in order to freely do whatever you want with the dungeon, and upon each of their deaths, they will drop a key that opens the main treasure chest of the dungeon. The loot gets better the higher level the dungeon is, however, so does the toughness of the bosses as well. And that leads us to our first dungeon, the Bronze dungeon. These dungeons are the first chronological dungeon the mod expects us to go after, so the expectations are rather low. The dungeon is organized into several small rooms interconnected by a really long dark hallway. In one of these rooms you're going to meet the dungeon's boss, we'll just call him Big D. His boss fight isn't difficult in the slightest. The only annoying part is that you have to kill him with a pickaxe the entire time, but you have a massive mobility advantage against him, since he has no arms or legs.
This man went from rulers to land Rumemumu. What the hell?
The hell is that?
What he wants to turn to French.
No, bro.
He wants to turn French. Why? We shall write that as our annotation.
Yeah. Oh, he's hurting. Come on, Lamar. Yeah! Did I get the key? Yes, I did. What's in this agility cape? Don't mind if I do. The loot you're going to end up finding in the chest will more likely than not be pretty useful to your journey in the Aether. However, don't expect it to be anywhere near the best items in the game, as the items in this chest are typically retextured enchanted items, like the Phoenix Bow and Flame Sword, which are literally a diamond sword with fire aspect and a bow with flame retextured. You're going to notice that some of the cool looking armor sets in this mod don't do that much once you put them on, and that's because the Aether mod added a new item to the armor set, the glove. Once you add this to the glove box in your inventory, your armor can reach its full potential. This item doesn't affect any of the already existing armor sets or the Zanite and Obsidian set, but it does some pretty cool stuff with the other newly added armor sets. Gravitite lets you jump higher, Neptune lets you swim faster, Phoenix lets you impervious to lava and fire, and my personal favorite, the Valkyrie set, which lets you fly and even fall slower with the Cape Edition. And speaking on the Valkyrie set, that brings us to our next dungeon. This dungeon works a lot differently than the previous one. In order to fight the boss and get the booty, as in treasure, you have to fight 10 of her subordinates and collect all of their medals to prove your worth to her. So I have to fight women, huh? This is when the question entered my mind. How low does one have to stoop in order to gain happiness in their life? Whatever the answer is to this deep philosophical question, it doesn't matter because it's montage time! After you senselessly stab 10 women in the vicinity, you can hand the remains to the big bad and then your battle can finally begin. Yeah, I have the medals right here. Alright.
Nope.
Okay, yeah, no, it doesn't work. Not anymore. Ow. What the hell are those?
Balls. I want to talk to your ball.
Oh! After killing her, you get the silver dungeon key, and in this chest you can find either parts of the Valkyrie set or items that are just as good. More likely than not, you're going to need to loot a lot more of these dungeons to get the full set, but what kind of psychopath is gonna do this dungeon multiple times, am I right?
I like to dissect girls. Did you know I'm utterly insane?
The last dungeon the Aether mod has to offer is the Gold Dungeon. Within this dungeon lies only two rooms. The main room where the Sun God resides, and the treasure room. The treasure found within this dungeon is the most supreme, high quality, and powerful items you will find in the mod. But with power, always comes a price. This boss is one difficult little boy and has had his fair share of rounds with me. In order to beat him, you need to patiently wait for him to launch ice cubes at you, then knock them back at him. Which you are about to see I am not very good at, and this isn't to mention the minions he spawns whenever you do successfully attack him. But I did not get this far in the afterlife by giving up, did I? So I gave him the absolute best that I, Sleepy Boy, could do.
It's so loud!
This looks fire, dude.
It's autistic.
I'm so happy I'm autistic. These slugs are so nice.
I'm so happy I'm autistic. What the
No, I genuinely was gonna come up here, but I was way too. I didn't know. It'll work.
I'm writing that down.
You better send your ass back to
What do you mean you were playing with slime for 2 hours?
I did not play with slime for 2 hours.
I make my own, but I play with it for 3 hours.
I know. Which one? That is my doubts. I don't know. What? Why do you want me to take a picture of him? Because he's different? Huh? You're gonna go up to him with like down syndrome? You're the bitch for being with that 11.
He does, and then he'll start meowing in the middle of the night. It's so fucking
No, okay. There's no fucking way. There's no
Blake, can you please
because he won't give me his fucking phone, so I can't.
And use your phone.
My phone is all the way downstairs.
Oh, did you do the first one?
You're downstairs.
Owen?
Fucking
Owen, shut the fuck up.
Yeah, he said like, okay, when he said like downstairs, I'm like, there's no way, I've seen your house, there's no second story. Yeah, no,
His downstairs.
it took me a minute.
His downstairs.
Unless your house is like the one from fucking Peppa Pig, there's no fucking
To be fair, you are alright. It's like 2 steps down, but I don't really want to do that. 2 steps down.
Why
step
sit downstairs?
Because it's downstairs, am I wrong?
Bitch, that is a hill. That's not even a hill, that's a fucking
Hell.
slope. That is a
It's
slope.
Technically downstairs.
Yeah, exactly. It's fucking
That is
technical.
not. Would you say that's a okay? Would you say that's a second floor though?
No, I wouldn't say it's the second floor.
Whoa, stairs could lead to.
Okay, then it is the second floor.
I know.
Blake, you're so loud.
I'm not asking for the stairs anymore. I'm just asking for the second floor.
It's like a porch step.
Yeah. Like,
That's what.
Blake! Stop!
Just use photo maps. I swear to God.
I don't hear anything. I'm like half here, I'm half not here. I can't fucking focus.
What do you need?
Oh my god. Oh my god, I
What
killed
phone
the
do you
orange man.
need?
Oh my god.
What do you?
Nathan,
what app
since
do you
you're-
need, Jit?
Nathan, since you're
Give me your-
25,
just
can you come
give me
pick
your
me up?
Yeah, of course, bro.
Kill yourself.
Where are we going though?
I'm gonna throw away my food.
We're gonna go to Blake's house and check if that shit's actually 2 stairs.
It is! I'm serious!
Once you beat him, you can finally relish in not only the fact that you just beat the final boss, but the luxuries that exist in the treasure chest as well. Finally, I have conquered the heavens by which all these now mere mortals call their sanctuaries that exist among the clouds. You know, it's weird. Once you conquer everything and have really nothing left to do, you feel pretty empty, actually. Here I am, not knowing what to do now. The challenge that existed in that journey was all I had to do. Now that it's gone, what do I have left? Was this really worth it? All that thrill and excitement only to lead me towards a throne, with only subjects who fear me? It's become inherently clear that maybe I was only truly happy when I was fighting to get to this point. Now that I have reached the very top, I only have a desire to go back to when things were simple, before all this conflict and resolution that existed so long ago. Joel, we need another Minecraft server.